Okay, day 6. So, what's on the agenda today? I don't really know actually. Um, I didn't really leave off anywhere yesterday with something clear to work on today. And there's nothing that's like particularly like nothing that seems particularly enjoyable to work on today. Sometimes it's a nice way to like push through any resistance that you might have is just, on days where you're not sure if you're feeling it or if you don't really know what you want to do, just gravitate towards what you want to work on, and what you want to practice. And then it makes the whole experience more enjoyable. Um, but I'm not feeling super connected to any particular type of exercise. So I think I'm just going to do more of what I did yesterday. So a little more gesture. I think it's nice to work on things consecutively. It kind of further cauterizes that knowledge, just, consistent repetitions all in one batch. Of course, it's always great. Like for me, I always have to go back to it at some point eventually. And these exercises take hundreds and hundreds of repetitions. But I think what I'm going to do, pick a new reference, and do some gestural drawing. And again, start with, some little sketches of the Loomis head, which I'll include, uh, just to kind of like demonstrate what the pose should be, how I should be thinking about it, also get warmed up a little bit, and then jump into the pose. And so, yeah, I think this is going to be, rather short pre-monologue. Let's just get into it, and then I'll probably have more to say after the experience. Okay, so drawing is finished, and as I expected, I have many more things to talk about now than I did at the beginning. So let's make up for the short intro monologue. Okay, so assessment of the drawing. So I worked on the drawing a little bit as usual after the time lapse finished recording, um, and so in total, probably the final drawing was maybe like 50 minutes or so, 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Um, and generally, actually, I'm kind of okay with how the drawing came out. Again, the emphasis here was gesture. So there's some critiques I could easily make about this drawing. It's not perfectly accurate. I think like some of the beauty and elegance of the reference is definitely lost in the drawing. Um, but in general, in terms of the gesture, which this is, quite a tough pose to have looking up, looking away. There's like a lot of weird nuances that occur here. I think that the gesture of the pose is more or less captured. I think like there's definitely some improvement to be made there, and I might end up doing this exact reference again, just like I did before, just to continue to try and emphasize how to capture this gesture. I again ran into this kind of process of working in the gesture in the 2D construction and the 3D construction, and then I think you'll actually see in the time lapse how that gesture is kind of lost throughout the rest of the drawing, like when I start putting in shadows and even as I get deeper into the construction. And then finally, by the time I'm working on edges, by the way, I didn't really touch halftones. I put in a few, but I didn't really care too much to like deal with halftones in this drawing. Um, so yeah, again, so, I wasn't trying to make a beautiful drawing here. I wasn't trying to capture her beauty. I wasn't trying to capture elegance. I wasn't trying to make a super accurate drawing. I was trying to capture the gesture of the drawing. And so assessment based on that seemed to go okay. I also spent some time in the beginning with the small Loomis head drawings, which for me were actually super helpful. I think if I would have gone right into the drawing, I would have totally been lost because, you know, I'll put it up on the screen here, but when I did like the trace over of the Loomis method, it's a really bizarre pattern that emerges. Like there's actually a piece of it that's kind of cut off, and I think like, why do we do extreme angles? Like why does everybody kind of emphasize those? Why does every course on Loomis head eventually, or Riley method, or any of these head constructions eventually run into the extreme angles of the head? Because they really help deepen the understand. Well, there's a couple reasons. One of them though is that it really helps deepen the understanding of how the method works. And so you can see like there's some really weird things that are occurring, but because if you foundationally understand the Loomis method, it should be easy to spot them and pull them out. And if you try something like this and you have difficulty, that is like some evidence that you need to go back and re-study some of the fundamentals on whatever process or method that you're using. The second reason we try extreme angles is sometimes they just make beautiful portraits. In fact, like I'm looking at this and it's such a beautiful photo. The reference is such a beautiful photo. It would also make a beautiful painting. Like it's just like there's like really nice elegance there. And maybe I will actually at some point do a painting here. Also just to continue to like do extreme angles, get the gesture in, and then we can work in like a finished painting. Maybe like 4 to 6 hour work over a couple days, over like 1 week or something like that. But let's see. For right now, I'll still continue to work on the drawing a little bit. I also uncovered another issue, which this is kind of how this process goes, at least for me, is that every time you feel like you're getting closer on one issue, another one will emerge, and this is like the infinite process of trying to improve your artwork. You never fully arrive, I think, to where you want to be. But I noticed like my line quality was pretty poor in both the like preliminary sketches and the final sketch. And line quality is something that can be super important. So like I've seen it said, I want to say it was maybe in a Stan Prokopenko, a Proko video, noting that like sketchy kind of like scratchy lines actually can convey like a bit of anxiety to the viewer, because they kind of lack that confidence, and you can sense it from the viewer. And I think it's true that probably as I'm drawing this difficult pose, there is, I mean, I feel confident, but probably subconsciously there's some type of anxiety about drawing this pose that comes out through the pencil. And I think that's part of actually what got rid of her elegance. And when I was kind of going back and editing just a little bit, I tried to put in some like much more precise lines and more like firm decisions, and it actually helped to kind of bring back some of that elegance that was lost. So I think if I even took almost the same exact drawing that I have, despite its inaccuracies, and just put in better line quality, it would probably elevate some of those things that were lost. And you know, line quality has a ton of other, like line is like one of the fundamental, you know, building blocks of art, and it has so much more impact than you can possibly imagine in drawing. It's always good to, at least for me, to like spend some time working on my line quality. Let's see. Tomorrow I'll probably do another gesture drawing, like do this one again, because I'm kind of enjoying that, you know, back to back drawings and seeing how they change and what's different. But then after that, maybe we'll spend a day doing, you know, working on line drawings a little bit, um, and see if we can't improve. Although maybe it would be better to do the line tomorrow and then do the gesture again and see if it comes through. So let's see. I'll kind of see what I'm feeling tomorrow morning. But I think that's everything as far as development on day 6. I think we're on, and I guess yeah, we'll talk again soon.